Now, I talked to this person again. They allow me to unlock the next feature that I want to talk about. I'll show you Levequests more in a little bit. Those are the basic functions of the Levequest screen, but that quest that they just gave me allows me to unlock Guildhests, which are basically tutorial dungeons or instances for new players. Now, if you want to do Levequests after you completed the initial quest, you just come back here and you select what kind of leaves you want to do. I want to do Battlecraft leaves, and this person will give you a list of quests that you can do as well as the rewards that they are worth. As you can see, I can select that one's got a body piece. They're all worth pretty much the same amount of experience, slightly different guild, and they all have different objectives. Some of them want you to escort an NPC. Some of them want you to protect some sort of shipment. Some of them simply want you to kill all the enemies in an area. Some of them want you to kill specific enemies in an area. There's a lot of different things that you can do with this, and as I said, there are also ones for crafting and gathering, though because I don't have crafting and gathering unlocked, you can see why I don't have access to those quests. And again, you have now I have 7 allowances left. If I wanted, I could do all 4 of these quests, get some nice experience points, and then just, you know, be out of allowances. But I do want to show you guys the Guildhest feature, which I'm going to unlock right here. You unlock this pretty much right after you unlock the Levequests. I'm going to take potions. Ethers aren't too big of a deal. So now he's unlocked Guildhests and also the Duty Finder, which is what you're pretty much going to be using for 90% of the in-game content that you're going to be doing. Outside of things like the hunting log and the challenge log and certain open world instances, you'll be using the Duty Finder for pretty much everything. So if we go to duty, we have the recommendations, which I said I would go over at a later point. We have the Duty Finder. Now, what you have here is a lot of confusing stuff, so let's go over it. At the very top, it lets you know what role you are and what level you are. So I'm a level 12 conjurer. My role is a healer. I have the ability to join a party in progress. What this will actually do is that if a party has a player that left the instance and they need to fill another player, it'll look to fill those parties. They're usually a little bit farther into the dungeons, which means you don't get to complete as much. You may miss a few bosses, but you can get the dungeon done quicker, and any rewards you might get from the end of the dungeon will still go to you. Languages is a big one. There's Japanese, English, I believe this is French, and German are what these 4 letters means. Basically, some players may select to only play with certain other languages or races, and race is not the right word, just other language players, and if you select all 4 of these, it can improve your Duty Finder times, whether you're a tank, a healer, or a DPS, just because it's pulling from a larger pool of people, but the pool isn't that much larger. Now, under that, it shows all of the different kind of duties you can do. Now, obviously, I only have 1 duty unlocked, but let's go through them. This first one right here is, actually, I'm having a hard time. This is Duty Roulettes, which you'll unlock a little bit later. We'll talk about those. The next one is Dungeons, which I don't have any of. Then it's Guildhests, which is the 4th tab. The next tab are Raid Bosses, or Trials, more specifically. These are, these are trials, these are raids, and this is PvP. All right, maybe I should just hover over them because I think that actually does the name. Yeah, Duty Roulette, Dungeons, Guildhests, Trials, Raids, PvP. All those different things in there, and then you can join, which I'm going to do right now as soon as I get back to the all section. So when you want to use the Duty Finder, you hover over the duty that you want to do, and you select it. I select it with X on my controller, but you can select it however you want. And it'll put a little check mark here. Now you can queue up to 5 different duties at a time, depending on what duties they are. Some of them are limited to just 1 queue at a time. And over here, it'll let you know your rewards for completing it. So for completing this first Guildhest, I'll get 660 EXP and 50 gil. That's not a lot, but every class gets a first-time completion bonus on Guildhests. So I'll get, for completing it the first time, 2,620 bonus XP and a bonus 1,000 gil. If you're a healer, this is a great thing to do in the early levels. And it also gives you a brief explanation of what the duty will require of you. At the very bottom here, it shows you what you're actually queued up for. And if you ever just want to get rid of all those, you can just clear the selection right there. So we're going to press join and see how long it takes for us to get into a dungeon. Now, after you join the Duty Finder, the clear selection button will change to the duty status selection, where this will come up on your screen, and it'll let you know how many people are currently selected into your instance and about the average wait time. Now, you should take this information with a grain of salt, because it says less than 5 minutes, but sometimes it'll take more than 5 minutes, even though it estimates that. It's your average wait time, not your guaranteed wait time. So it lets you know it's forming the party. 2 DPS just joined, as you see right there. So now we're just waiting on a tank. And then it's also going to reserve the instance. And then we'll go in, we'll do this instance. Guildhests are very short and very quick. Most of them are, at least. Some of the later ones can take a little while, but they're good for learning basic functions in party instances. It's really good to do the first couple of Guildhests if you can get into a queue before going into your first dungeon, and just seeing what it's like to play in a party environment. Now, if you're a healer or a tank, this is very, very important. Now, unfortunately, some of these low-level Guildhests, sometimes you'll get level 50 players that just burst it down and they completely ignore whatever mechanics you're supposed to be doing. So take it as more of an opportunity to learn how to properly use your spells. For example, I learned earlier, and I still have not changed that if I have my weapon sheathed, I actually can't heal my allies, which sucks because I want to be able to do DPS in these instances as well. So I have to get used to playing like that, or I have to go into my my features, my keybinds, and change that, or my character configuration, I should say. Let's see if we can fix that real quick while we're waiting for this to come up. Now, there are a lot of functions here, and believe me, this could be a thing all on its own, just talking about all this stuff. Hotbar settings, sharing, cross hotbar. No, that's not what we want. Expanded controls. Should be under the basic control settings, to be honest. So let's just go through down here. Standard camera type, targeting. Targeting is probably the one that I'm gonna need to look for. All enemies. I need sheathed. All, no, oops. Did I just cancel the queue? I might have just canceled the queue. Let's see if we did. That's not the right one. Duty finder. Duty status. Alright, so if you ever do that, that's what you do. So when it's actually ready, this is what it'll come up as. It'll tell you the level, it'll tell you the name, it'll tell you that you're ready, let you know what class you need to play it on, and how much time you have to accept it. Now, if you press withdraw, you won't go into it, but there will be a penalty inflicted upon you, which we'll talk about after this. We're going to hit commence and go right into the dungeon. So I'm actually not going to probably do any damage here just because I wasn't able to fix that setting and I don't feel like constantly sheathing and unsheathing my weapon. So as a healer, we're going to immediately want to protect as soon as everybody is outside and it says duty commenced. It gives you a quick objective. This will only happen in Guildhests right here. It'll just give you a quick reminder to your objective. And then we're good to go. It looks like we actually got 3 not max level players. So the ninja is probably, and he's not even max level. So now as a healer, I'm just going to go and I'm going to cast a few spells right here. Now as a controller player, one thing you're able to do is you're able to have a selected target, and then you're able to go through the party list and cast abilities on other people. So as you can see, even though I have him selected as my main target, without having to select a main target, I can go through each individual person and heal them separately. That's part of the thing that makes controller healing not as bad as a lot of people think. And one big thing that I'm doing that you probably shouldn't do, you notice that I'm healing for like 90 and he's only missing like 20 HP. You probably shouldn't do that. That's a waste of MP. You should wait. You should try and learn how much your heals are going to do and heal accordingly with that. Now, see, this is one thing that I'm talking about. In this specific Guildhest, you're actually supposed to try and pull all of these things separately without fighting all 6 of them at once or all 7 of them at once. But as you can see, as long as your healer is at least a little bit attentive, it's not hard to just kill them all at once anyway. So we're just going to kill all these enemies. Now we are getting EXP for killing each and every one of our opponents right here. And we are going to get that sweet bonus because this is the last objective that we have right here. All I'm doing, I'm just throwing a few cures here and there. We have the tank using his cooldowns. As you can see, he just took a big hit right there. So I'll just get a quick cure. He's got a convalescence up, which improves the amount of healing that he receives. Now he's got fight or flight up, which is going to increase the damage that he deals. Now normally, if I was playing this as a healer, as you can see, I go long periods of time without casting any abilities while I'm just waiting to heal. Normally, what you'll want to do, and as you can see, I actually can target, but only because I'm already targeted to an ally versus being targeted to an, like if I were to do this, and then, oh, it's still working. Oh, it's because they're party members. That's why it's different. So remember when I was saying how I couldn't heal people while my weapon was sheathed? Yeah, that's if they're not in my party, by the way. See, like I said, there are going to be points where even I'm learning new things because I'm not a native controller player. Now, another feature you're going to unlock is player commendations, which basically if somebody did really well in your dungeon, you can give them a commendation and they'll get rewarded if they get a certain number of commendations. It's not something super important, but it is actually something that the challenge log will be involved in later. So we'll definitely want to play with that. I got about 3,000 experience, made a little bit over 1,000 gil. Done with that Guildhest, and guess what? When you finish a Guildhest, if there's another one to unlock, you actually unlock the next one. So now if we go back to our duty list, we go to the duty finder, you'll see that not only do I have a new one to do right here under the armor, which I'm going to queue up for real quick, because why not? It's all this extra EXP and gil. You already saw how much that first one was worth. Why would I not do the second one? But I also unlocked a Duty Roulette. Duty Roulettes are basically, it'll pick a random one out of all of the features, out of all of the possible choices that are involved. So I have 2 Guildhests available, so this Duty Roulette would randomly roll between the 2 of them, and I would get, and I would just have to do whichever one it picks. But on top of that, if it's the first time you're doing that Duty Roulette for the day, you get a nice bonus to experience points and gil. And then in some cases, for the higher level instances, you'll also get endgame resources or more gil or things like that. Another big thing is that sometimes there'll be an adventurer in need, which just means there aren't enough of this type of role in the duty finder. And if you queue up for it, you'll get an additional bonus on top of that. So, as we just queued up for this right here, we're going to just press the yes button, and then we're going to come back and do our Duty Roulette for the Guildhests, and I think that'll be the end of this part. I really do think I'm going to record quite a few parts today, because like I said, I want to get to level 15, I want to unlock the challenge log, and I want to just get that done for the week, because I want to show you guys how much experience points that's going to be. So again, we're going to quickly just protect right here. We already know that we're just going to have to kill this enemy right here. So team goes in. Now here we're going to try and experiment with attacking an enemy as a healer while also doing damage. So I've got Cleric Stance on, and you never want to be healing players while you have Cleric Stance on. It reduces the amount of healing you do by a severe amount if you're a healer. So it's really just for doing maximum damage. Now, as you can see, the tank, he's not taking a whole lot of damage, so this is actually working out perfectly okay. I'm going to switch and I'm going to attack that guy instead. Because this is an enemy, this is an additional enemy, which you'll hear me call them ads a lot, and he's going to probably try and run around and attack a few players. He'll do more damage to the tank because he's being hit by more people. Now my tank is starting to lose a little bit of HP, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn Cleric Stance off, I'm going to target him, and I'm going to heal him. Very, very quickly, right like that. Now he's got 2 extra enemies on him, so if you're a newer player and that makes you a little bit nervous, then just keep to the healing. But what my team is actually doing is they're actually just going to kill the boss as soon as possible. He's being responsible as a tank and trying to pick up all the enemies so that I can heal safely. And I appreciate that because I did take a hit there from the caster over there. But as you can see, I'm just going through my party list very quickly, healing everybody who needs it, even though nobody really needs it all that much. I could have just DPS'd. Kill the boss, bam, we're done. We'll get teleported back to the entrance. I'm going to give him player commendation. Now, that was a higher level player, even though his level was capped to do this specific duty. But you can tell, just based on the fact that he has his job unlocked, he's not a super high level, but he's higher than the level that's actually required for this instance. Another thing about certain duties in the duty finder is that very often you'll find that they reduce your maximum level to a certain level so that it remains somewhat challenging. So the maximum level for that one was level 11. Even though I am level 12, it reduces my player level to 11 and restricts all of my abilities and my gear if it's a higher item level than that. Now, I do want to show you guys the Duty Roulette real quick. I also want to equip some of the pieces that I picked up. I think it was only a body. Yes, there was legs also. How could I forget? And there were also boots. Perfect, perfect, perfect. Now I'm looking like a giant condom. Fantastic. Fantastic. I got 2 player commendations out of that. I'm perfectly okay with that. I got no issue with getting player commendations. So now, Duty Finder. You'll see that the next one is locked if I could stay in my duty finder list for long enough, and that is because it requires level 15. If an item is locked to you in the duty finder and you hover over it, it'll tell you why it is locked, why you cannot do it. And this is because I need to be level 15 in order to do this next one. So let's do the Duty Roulette for the Guildhests and see just what we end up getting as a reward. How much bonus experience. Now, one thing with the Duty Roulette for lower level content is that the experience you get will scale with the level of the content that you get. So if you're level 50, if you're level like 45 and you do a Duty Roulette for the Guildhests and you get a level 10 Guildhest, because the enemies you're killing aren't worth a lot of experience points, it'll give you more bonus experience at the end to make up for that difference. And Duty Roulettes are really something that you want to try to do every day, especially while you're leveling up, because the extra experience you get really helps out. Now that's easier said than done. For healers and tanks, the queues are relatively short for the Duty Finder, but at the lower levels it can be horrendous to try to do it as a DPS, just because there are so many more DPS trying to do them than there are tanks and healers. So I'm going to quickly repair my gear real quick here. As you can see, just from doing those 2 Guildhests, I made a few thousand gil. I'm at almost 6,000 gil already, which isn't a lot at level 50, but at this level, what do you need 6,000 gil for? What are you even going to use 6,000 gil for? You could use it for a few additional teleports. You could use it maybe to buy a nice piece of gear from an NPC, just a little bit of an upgrade or something like that. And if nothing else, just save it. You know, if you're really not going to use it for anything else, just save it. And really, it'll all add up, especially as you level multiple characters. I'm glad I'm getting to show you guys this, because that hunt did eat quite a bit of time out of the video. And also, another feature that I mentioned earlier, which was the Chocobo Keep. These guys basically act as a taxi service between certain areas. As you can see, I can use this Chocobo Keep now that I've spoken to him. If I want, I can hire a Chocobo Porter, which will basically take me from point A to B. And it'll tell me select a destination. It's usually a nearby destination, not something that's too far away. And it'll take 1 minute for me to get there, and it'll only cost me 5 gil. Now, if let's say I was here and I wanted to teleport back to Gridania. Teleport, not use the Chocobo Porter. It would cost me 150 gil to teleport back to Gridania from this point. Use this guy, takes me an extra minute, but it only costs me 5 gil. That's a great way to save gil at the low levels in the game. So, Duty Finder, still waiting on the duty status. Let's see, we have the 2 DPS, we have the 1 healer, which is me, and we're going to get the 1 tank soon enough. Now, I will say something about Guildhests. After you do them for the first time bonus, if you're not doing them for the Duty Roulette, you probably shouldn't do them again. Every class gets that first time bonus once, obviously, but after that, you'll probably never do them again. I wouldn't recommend spamming Guildhests just for experience points. It's really not worth it. There used to be a few of them that were worth doing it for because they had tons of enemies and the experience was really, really good. But I would just simply not recommend it. Dungeons are a different story, but even then, if a dungeon is too low of a level under you, I wouldn't queue for it alone. I would try to, if I got it as part of the Duty Roulette, that's okay. But if I'm level 30 and I'm doing a level 15 instance, the enemies are going to give me less experience points. The gear isn't going to be worth it because it's 15 levels lower than I am. So you really got to keep all those things in mind when you're trying to go through the game the first time and collect all of that experience points. Now, I'm not going to lie, I'm slowing things down here a little bit just to show you guys, you know, the individual features and how you're going to want to go about doing the lower levels. But honestly, you can do this way fast. Like, while I'm waiting for my Duty Finder queue, a very smart thing to do while you're waiting for the Duty Finder is either do some Leve quests, although those can be a little bit iffy if your queues are short, because if a duty pops while you're in the middle of a Leve quest, you'll have to abandon the Leve quest in order to do it. But some things that you should definitely look into doing while you're waiting for your Duty Finder, don't just stand around and wait for it. Go, kill enemies for your quest, do your hunting logs, do your challenge logs, do all of that stuff. Don't just sit around waiting for something to happen. Always make sure you're doing something to progress your character. Because if you just stand around and wait, you're going to be every second that you could have been killing enemies to gain experience points and level faster, you weren't. You're just delaying yourself. And it's nice, it's okay if you want to go at that pace and you want to take things in one at a time. But if you are trying to level a little bit faster, don't just stand around waiting for things to happen. That is a big piece of advice I have for leveling your characters. And that is especially true for DPS who are waiting for their Duty Finder queues. So, okay, we literally just did this one, but because it's part of the Duty Roulette, it's going to be worth it to us this time. So I'm going to cast Protect because it seems like almost everybody's here. Looks like one of our party members is still viewing his cutscene, but that's not a big deal. So we're going to go in, I give everybody Protect, and we're just going to do the same thing we did last time. There's no reason to treat it any different. It's the exact same fight. The enemies are going to come at the exact same points, and we're just going to kill the boss. So tank pulls, he goes in, fighting the bad guy. He's going to hold aggro for us. And we, just like last time, are pretty much just going to, you know, beat the boss into oblivion. We're not going to worry too much about the ads, just because at this point, it's not that easy for lower level classes to really get aggro on all those ads, unless you're somebody who is used to doing that kind of thing. So yeah, it's attacking the Lancer, but the Lancer's not really in any threat, and as soon as the boss dies, the whole fight is over anyway. So we're just going to destroy the boss. You know, Lancer's going to take a little bit of extra damage right here. Now, if you're feeling a bit... Now, look at that. And he just used second wind. He knew I was just trying to do maximum damage. But you know what? I'll throw a couple of extra heals out. Bam. We're good. And now we're going to get a huge bonus because of our Duty Roulette. Let's see exactly what the Duty Roulette bonus ends up being for the Guildhests specifically. I'm going to give that to the tank real quick. And now let's accept our reward. Now, you won't get your reward until you pretty much... I'm pretty sure it's after you leave. No, it should be right there. Okay, so I already got my Duty Roulette bonus. I got 3,300 experience points for the Duty Roulette bonus. I got a bonus 328 for being a healer, which was the adventurer in need, and I also got a bonus 200 gil for my Duty Roulette and a bonus 150 gil for being the healer. On top of that, I got the 86 experience points from killing the enemy, and then I got a completion bonus of about 850 experience and another 60 gil. I got 2 player commendations as well. So that is the importance of doing your Guildhests when they first become available to you, if the queues aren't so bad, and the importance of also doing your Duty Roulette every day. Now, eventually, we're going to unlock the Duty Roulette for dungeons. We're going to unlock it for trial fights, which can be fights against the classic Final Fantasy summons or against specific enemies that are just kind of solo fights. They can be raids. There's no Duty Roulette for the raids, maybe sometime in the future. We're going to be getting a PvP roulette in the next couple of weeks. I'm looking forward to that myself. But while you're leveling up, doing your dungeon and your Guildhest roulettes can be a major benefit towards leveling up. I basically got a 1/4 of a level from just doing that. And you can be killing enemies the whole time while you're waiting for those queues, gaining experience points, finishing quests, and it'll really help speed up your experience points. In the next part, we are going to look at the armory system. I'm going to complete the quest in the next part to finish my level 10 class quest, and then we are going to look at what it's like unlocking additional classes, the process that you'll have to go through for that, the ways that you'll want to go about leveling, the bonuses you'll get from the armory system. All that stuff is going to be in the next part. Hopefully you guys have been enjoying the series thus far. I'm actually enjoying making it because it gives me a little bit more, you know, it's I'm glad that it helps the newer players, or that that's what it's going to be aimed at, and that it's really going to be good for those people. But I'm also happy because, you know, I get to... It kind of breaks it up for me, too. It's helping me. I never played with a controller, so I'm learning more about that. On top of that, you know, it's making my leveling experience a little bit better. So I want to thank you guys for actually wanting the series to continue, because I have a feeling I'm going to really enjoy doing it. I mean, I've been enjoying doing it thus far. This is only part 3. But I'm glad that this is something that people were receptive to on my channel. Not everybody was receptive, but there are some people, were a large amount of people who were receptive, and to those people, thank you. And even to the people who weren't receptive, most of the time they were just like, you should maybe wait till the expansion, or you know, it's not really my kind of thing. Even they were, like I said, receptive of it, at least to some degree, or could understand or had some sort of criticism on it. So I just grabbed those quests, but I'm going to end this part right here. It's an over an hour part. I might even break this down into 2 parts just to make it so it's a little bit more timely. If I do that, I will be sure to add a cut at the middle point, or put something at the beginning that lets you know this is the first of a 2-part recording. So even though I didn't sign off at the end, that it was actually 2 parts. But thank you everyone for continuing to watch this series. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys in the next part, where we're going to talk about the armory system, and we're going to continue with the main story. So thank you for watching, and until next time, guys, take care.